Okay.
We are recording.
Hey, Darlene.
Hey, Darlene. Okay. So, Debbie, you think we should start with the episodes? Everybody ready to start hearing our episodes for today? I know we're getting more people that are coming on, but we do want to get started somewhat on time. All right, so I am going to start sharing.
The Women's Coalition of St. Croix presents Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
I am not your traditional narrator. I come not only to share this story, but to attack and destroy a serious problem that our community does not talk about. Something we do not talk about in the Caribbean, that we are terrified to face head on. I'm not your traditional narrator. I have an axe to grind, a score to settle, a vendetta. I course through our streets and homes, observing child sexual molestation. I grow great under the weight of taboos, victimization, fears, pain. I normalize them, blunt them. I accept them, so you accept them. I am crippling silence. Well, now, silence speaks.
Good morning. It's Dr. Dennis in the morning and the phone lines are open. We're talking about child sexual abuse in the Virgin Islands.
Dr. Dennis, you could hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear.
Who you think you is to bring up this stuff, my son?
I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a Virgin Islander just like you. And I'm also a survivor.
Yeah, man, but this ain't good talk, man.
Well, it is happening. According to the Society for the Positive Care of Children, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before they turn 18 years old. And we are no strangers here in the Virgin Islands to this type of abuse.
What? That much?
And the majority of cases go unreported. People don't want to talk. People shut up the victims. According to Darkness to Light's website, children are sexually victimized at a higher rate than adults.
What? You know what it would do to somebody who had taught a child?
Well, let's not go there.
You sound like you was from stateside, though.
I'm back home because I know what I went through. I love my home. I stayed away, stayed quiet for 15 years. But it's time I do something.
Yeah, you're right. We can't let this ish go on. You all right. I'm going to listen every week. Just hold on that attitude, my son.
This is just the beginning. Over the next 26 weeks, secrets will be revealed as I, Silence, turn up the secrets hidden on this island. Who are these victimizers? They are in our schools, families, organizations, and places of worship. They are checking out our children and finding just the right child, just the right moment. To everyone else, they look and act normal. Here we meet the Gaudettes.
Welcome to Seascape Preparatory School. We are here to admit Leah Gaudette. Did I say that right?
You did a fine job. I'm John Gaudette. Last name's Cajun. This here's my wife, Laura. Leah's going to be going into the 10th grade.
Right. Well, tell me about yourself, Leah.
Now, we just moved down from Louisiana. I'm an independent roofing contractor. Glad to be here. It's a beautiful place. My daughter will be the best student you ever have walk through your halls. I guarantee you. She's my special girl.
Right. What are your interests, Miss Gaudette?
Well, that's my job as her parent. She's going to take any music class you got. I'm sure it won't be a challenge.
Well, I was thinking of taking a creative writing class and...
Nah, those classes are full of soft people digging into their feelings. How about a history elective? You have anything like that?
We have a course in Virgin Islands heroes.
I guess.
Here's our course catalog. We do make an effort to include many electives that teach about the islands. We infuse our standard curriculum with writing, history, and science electives that are directly related to VI interests.
Well, Okay.
Leah, I'd still really like to hear from you.
Do you have any after-school activities? I don't like to go home after school. I really love school.
I like to hear that. There is a concert band that has won awards for its jazz and classical ensembles. If you make the cut, you'll be staying after school most days. We also have a creative writing club and steel pen.
Oh, great!
Now, you know you have to help me in the office after school sometimes.
Yes.
You seem like a really nice family. Let's go for the tour. Then we can come back and tackle her schedule.
Sounds good. Let's go, girls.
Abuse can happen in any family, in any socioeconomic, racial, or cultural background. According to research, the risks for child sexual abuse increases in single-family homes and homes with step-parents. 43% of perpetrators are juvenile offenders. Today, we meet Milagros Rodriguez and her 7-year-old son.
Listen, Beto. Beto!
Yes, Mommy, I'm coming.
Stay close to the house. Your abuela is in there. Don't leave the yard, you hear? I have to go to work now. This new job wants me there on time. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They want a lot. Abuela cooks some arroz con pollo y habichuelas, and there's plátanos too. Okay? Bye, baby. Listen to me, you hear? Don't leave this yard for nobody. Love you. Bye.
Bye, Mommy.
I gonna make you flan if you be good.
Yay, love you, Mommy.
Hey, Beto, why you so quiet? I bet you want somebody to talk to. What you doing, little dude?
Playing with Michael Jackson.
You know your chicken, Michael Jackson?
That chicken punky then.
He's a bad chicken, that's why.
Beto, we have chicken too. You want fighty?
I don't know.
You got proof Michael Jackson hard.
I don't know. Mommy tell me to stay in the yard.
Your mother and my mother grew up together. She gonna be alright. Come over here with Michael Jackson. We gonna show you how to deal with he.
Okay, let me get him.
Beto is just 7 years old. He lives with his mother and grandmother. Beto's father works constantly to support his son, so he rarely sees Beto. They all believe they're doing the best for him. And they are. None of these people are to blame for what will happen to Beto, but none of them will be the same. Child sexual abuse affects not just a child, but the whole family, the whole community. How careful do you think you're being with your child? Today, we meet Caridad Hagen. She's 16 and a pageant queen. Even when we plan activities for our children, sometimes these are the places that attract perpetrators.
Hey, it's me. How you holding up? You still got lots to do to get ready for Miss Carnival Sensation?
I was just about to call you, but my mom just texted. She coming over to pick me up for a fitting with creepy Miss Copen. Then we're going for a photo shoot. I am sick of this, man. I just wanted to stop.
You stop running for beauty queen? You can't get out of it even if you wanted to. Wait, but how you mean Miss Copen creepy?
Girl, you don't know the half of it. Talk to you later. My mother just pulled up and she beeping like she crazy.
Carrie! Carrie! Get out here! I told you I was picking you up!
Come in, Mom. Relax, woman.
What did you say? My God! Why are you wearing that big t-shirt? You look like a man.
Caridad is dressed like that because she doesn't want to be seen. She's dressed like that because her mother is too consumed with only what she sees. Caridad is trying to hide, to avoid, to say, I don't like the situation that's being forced on me.
Hurry up, young lady. I've been waiting for over 15 minutes. You think you're a diva now, making people wait on you?
Afternoon, Miss Copen. Sorry I'm late.
Go on in before me. Well, it looks like I will have to take out that gown. Your butt is filling out well, round and nice. You have a little boyfriend or two?
No, Mrs. Copen.
Mrs. Copen, I can tell you are tearing down the boundaries. I can tell you don't care about this girl. You have done this before, and you think, well, here's another one. Children will show signs of abuse in a variety of ways. They will often display an opposite change of behavior. Some may become withdrawn. If they were quiet, they might become loud and aggressive. Younger children may regress. Girls might become hypersexual. Sometimes what they present might not be what it seems. But if there's a doubt, a feeling, there's also the obligation to report and to help.
Time to grade the poems. Let me see. Where is my rubric for the romantic style poem? I hope they are good and nobody plagiarized. Leah's poem, Melancholy Mist by Leah Godet. I am the
mist. I creep as you sleep. I hover where you cover. I am the mist. You insist is the breath of earth, the kiss of angels, laughter of saints. You want to believe in love, in the beauty of me? I am the mist, and I will make you see. Where I clear, you will fear. What I reveal, you'll conceal. I circle the head of a king of state as gently as I caress a gray body found too late. I am the mist. You will come to hate, though you want to believe in love, in the beauty
of me.
Yes, there's something happening between the lines. You can feel it. Act.
Something is going on with this child. Something about her is not right. And now this, let me get Mom on the line.
Hello.
Mrs. Godet?
Yes, hello.
I am Leah's teacher. I'm calling because she wrote a rather disturbing poem. It should have been light-hearted, but it sounds more like something out of Edgar Allan Poe. She's smart, and in class, she seemed to understand. So I don't...
My husband deals with these things. I'll tell him to call you.
But you
Goodbye,
don't...
I'll let my husband know.
A third of child sexual abuse cases are identified. Fewer are reported. Trust and believe, then report. Anyone who comes into direct contact with children in a professional manner, such as teachers and coaches, has a legal responsibility to report any sign of abuse. Now, look at this. This is called grooming. See how he waits until others leave the scene? See how he draws little Beto in? See how the perpetrator normalizes an inappropriate situation? This perpetrator is 17. It's 3:45 in the afternoon, an optimal time for an offense.
I busting off.
Yeah, I going to. My woman bugging me. She wanna go movies. But I don't like them Babylon thing. If it ain't about real black people, I wanna see all of Hollywood. This is she on the phone. Yeah, I gonna be there.
Bye.
Hey, Beto, you wanna see something?
What?
Come here, I gonna show you. But you gotta come over here. It's behind the house.
Rakas, tell me you have a video about chicken fighting. You gonna let me see it?
I got something better.
Let me see, Juanito.
Juanito knows Beto trusts him. He knows the little boy thinks of him as a brother.
Look at this woman on my phone. She pretty, yeah? Watch them big titty.
I know.
You wanna be a big man or what? You can't be scared of the woman.
If my mother find out.
Well, don't tell her then. She ain't gonna understand. This man business. Hey, look at next one here. She's sweet, my son, right?
Yeah. I think my mommy come.
Remember what I said. I won't let you see my chicken no more.
The child becomes a conspirator in the loss of his own innocence.
Hi, Mommy.
Didn't I tell you to stay with your grandmother?
That was last week. You didn't tell me this week.
Ay, Dios mío, don't be stupid. Get in the house now. You have to show me your homework.
Hi, Miss Rodriguez.
You okay? How's your mother?
She good. I gone. I gonna tell her you asked for she. I gonna help you with a yard tomorrow.
Okay. You see it, eh? It need help. God bless you. Tenga buen día.
Hey, Beto, I gonna bring you some bubblegum tomorrow.
What will happen to them? Such a happy little family. Once a victimizer crosses a small boundary, he or she will cross others. Child molesters are people who sexually assault or abuse children. They create situations where children are vulnerable and they make their moves carefully.
This is the best dress I've made in 20 years. It is made to fill out all of your curves. Some of your curves will spill out too. The judges will love it.
I don't.
No, you don't even start. You don't know. You are 16. It's about time you show your development. Believe me, this is what wins.
My mother.
Your mother will love it. She loves everything I do, even this new bathing suit with the Brazilian cut.
It's kind of high.
That's the point. You think anyone else is going to be so daring? Your competition is just little girls. You're a woman now. Try it on right here. You think I haven't seen girls before? Well, my peas, you put it on over your underwear? Well, okay. That's cute.
I don't like it. I'm not comfortable. What if it comes off on the wrong way? It's so tight.
Well, the judges will give you a 10.
I hate this so much.
I heard that. Let me massage your shoulders so I can help you to relax. Nice, huh?
That's my mother. She's outside.
Caridad?
Yes?
Your mother has known me for a very long time. I was her coach. No one has ever said anything negative about me. Trying to get out of the pageant is not something she will abide. I'll tell her you are just uncooperative.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Copen does not see herself as a criminal. She thinks she is shaping young women to be winners. In her mind, she is no Bill Cosby. She doesn't use drugs. She's no Sandusky. She's not lying exactly. She's no Harvey Weinstein. She is not denying anyone a job. Who she is Joy Copen, a woman and a perpetrator. She too thinks she has a right to a young person's body.
Good afternoon, Leah. It's nice to see you.
Hi.
I am here to just listen to you and help you. It's safe here. Whatever you tell me will stay in this room. Keep in mind, though, if you tell me something that will cause you or someone else harm, I have to report it. If you don't have an answer, just say you don't know. If I'm wrong about something, correct me, okay?
Sure. Okay.
Do you know why you are here?
I wrote a poem, and my teacher thinks I'm crazy. And now my mother is freaking out. This is so dumb.
Well, you are not crazy. Tell me about your poem.
It's just a poem I had to write.
What did you have to write about?
A feeling connected to nature. And that's what I did. I don't know why everything has to be so serious.
Why do you think your teacher is worried?
'Cause I kinda wrote about death.
Well, that's serious. What reason did you have to write about death?
She has plenty reasons. Whenever a person harms a child intimately, trust, innocence, truth, all die. And there are other reasons too.
What is it, Leah?
I'm afraid for my sister.
What do you mean?
I can't say.
I am the right person to tell. I know it's hard, but you can't get help if you don't say anything, and I am obligated to make sure you are safe.
My father.
You can tell me.
I caught him sneaking into my little sister's room. I want him dead!
Has he done anything to you?
Yes.
These are the moments when I am truly broken. Here I must take pause. I see Leah and Caridad going about their lives. They pretend everything is okay. Leah has opened up to her therapist. Caridad grows disruptive at home and school. And Beto, well, let's see.
Beto, my love, where are you?
Aquí, mami.
What? I thought you were outside. I can't keep you in the house. Now I can't get you outside. What is wrong, Beto?
Nothing. I just don't want to play.
But what about Michael Jackson?
I don't care. He's just a stupid chicken.
I don't know what is wrong with you. I made flan. Come eat some. And say something funny to make me laugh. You and your sister are what I love more than the sun, and the moon, and the stars. You know that, right? I'd do anything for you, Norberto.
I know. I don't want any flan.
Come here.
Ouch!
What? I barely touch you, Beto. What is wrong with you?
My belly hurts. Leave me alone.
You're a little boy, and I am your mother. Let me see. Ay. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Beto, who did this to you? Oh, my God, my boy.
I can't say anything. He'll kill you. He will kill you. I don't want it to die, Mommy.
What is the trouble in here? All this noise. Madre de Dios, en nombre del Padre y el Hijo y del Espíritu Santo.
No, Beto, I will kill him and your father will kill him again. Beto, baby.
I get his shoes. You have to take him to the doctor. Rápido.
The majority of child sexual abuse cases have no physical evidence. It is usually a touch, saying obscene things, showing inappropriate pictures, taking pictures of children, and other contact that cannot be detected. In some cases, the trauma is clear and painful. All of these children will grow to adulthood and still suffer in varying degrees from their experiences. While a perpetrator like Mrs. Copen presents herself as an upstanding and outstanding member of society, her victims crumble under self-doubt, fear, and confusion. Caridad wonders about the touches, the massage, the comments about her body.
Carrie, it's almost time for singing lessons.
Mom, I don't feel good.
What happened? You don't look good. Come here. Let me feel your forehead. You're fine. Dramatic as usual. Get dressed.
Can I ask you something?
What is it?
Forget it. No, what?
Listen, I don't have all afternoon.
I was just wondering.
Yes?
Never mind.
Growing up and becoming a whole person is hard enough without dealing with sexual abuse. A positive child-parent relationship is always important, but especially in times like this.
Can you get a grip? The pageant is just in 3 weeks, and these singing lessons could lead to a scholarship, and you're...
It's about Mrs. Copen.
What about Mrs. Copen?
She's so touchy-feely. She's always trying to steal our touch. She comments about how sexy we are. Even the junior girls. What do they know about being sexy?
Don't dare tell lies like that. Her hands must have slipped.
I'm not lying.
Joy's been my coach and my friend for over 20 years. Longer than you've been alive. How dare you suggest such a vile thing about this respectable woman? I'm ashamed.
But the other girls said so too, and...
The other girls do not live in this house. And if they did, they wouldn't be allowed to disrupt things. And you wouldn't either. Get dressed.
There is no way to establish a profile of a perpetrator. They can be of any gender, marital status, social, economic background, religious affiliation, or status in society. They can look like normal people, running schools, campaigning for office, policing the streets. The people who get into this work often have a personal stake. They're coming from a place of experience. People do not seek help because they're afraid that they will look foolish, that no one will believe them, and they will be judged.
Good morning. It's Dr. Dennis in the morning. Today we are talking about child sexual assault in the Virgin Islands, and we are focusing on disclosure. Why don't children tell? Let's go to our next caller.
Dr. Dennis, you hear me right? You get your mic fixed yet?
Nothing was ever wrong with the mic, Sammy.
Right. I could tell a bad mic when I hear one.
Do you have a question, Sammy?
Yeah, what you think I call?
To test my mic. Please ask your question.
I gonna let that one go, cause I know you. You have a real nice heart to be helping children like this, and this work ain't easy. You did say you would share your story one day, but we ain't hear it yet. And you talking about disclosure? I getting off the line now. Are you listening?
It started when I was 6. A businessman and a family friend started telling me how pretty I was, buying me ribbons for my hair, and helping my mother out around the house. My mother trusted this person completely and left me to go do some shopping one day. It started with touching, you know? The next time, kissing and more touching, until it was the complete act. Several times a month until I hit puberty. I told my mother. She didn't believe me. Then she said at least I was getting something for it. Once he found out my mother knew, the incidences increased, and so did the money she was getting from him. Who could I tell? I didn't think I could tell anyone. Next caller.
This is so heartbreaking. You just sharing your story will help a lot of people. God gonna be with you. I just don't understand why your mother would do that though.
To this day, I don't know either.
I sit beside grown people in all positions all over this territory. They carry memories and betrayals with them. They struggle with forgiveness, anger, anxiety, and depression. A perpetrator thinks he or she is keeping a secret with a child, a soul secret that stays long after the person's body has outgrown the interests of the victimizer. We return to little Beto's house. It's a changed house. I sit around the corners and right beside this boy. I am trying, but it's especially hard to speak this crime at times.
Oh, Jesus. Winston is here. What is he doing here? That crazy man.
You can't tell him, you know. I'll lock the door.
No, that will just make him madder.
Millie, I come to see my son. Millie.
Calm down before I open the door. I don't want your nonsense in here.
Just open up, okay? I don't have anything with you. I just want to see my son. I'm mad as hell you didn't let me see him last week.
Come in. He's in his room.
What the hell is wrong with him?
He's quiet, that's all.
Nah. Come here, son.
Hi, Papa.
What is going on with you? Why you so quiet? You don't want to see your father? Go, let me talk to my son by myself. Beto, please tell me what's wrong.
I can't.
What you talking about? What happened, Beto? Now, tell Daddy. I will believe anything you tell me.
Somebody touched me on my thing.
I know just who did this to you and he dead. He dead.
Where are you taking Beto? Don't take Beto.
Milagros, I see father and I'm gonna kill that man.
He tell you? He didn't tell me anything.
I see father, what you mean?
I'll keep him in the house, I promise. Don't take my baby. Don't take my baby.
Okay, but you're gonna see a lot more of me. And you better open the door right away when I come over. Milagros, I'm gonna kill him.
Oh God, Winston, no!
Oh God, yes.
Violence will solve nothing. Surely anger is understandable. I'm angry too for this grieving father, but this is not the way. Right now, he's thinking he'd rather be in jail, but when he thinks again, he'll realize he'd rather be free to help his son heal and get through life. The doctor has already reported to the police. The police have already taken a report. Beto needs the whole community and his family to recover.
You sound amazing. You should be running. You want to take my place?
Why are you here then? You don't sound like you want to do this.
My mother got me into it since I was 3, but I'm getting too old for this. It's okay, but I don't like it so much anymore.
Yes, you do. Stop lying.
Oh, you look nice in your outfits, though.
Thanks. But that's the part I hate the most.
She lying.
Go away, Tina.
You're strange. That's the point of a beauty show.
The dressmaker is a little stranger than I am. You think?
Yeah, she's different.
She's a perp.
What, Tina? Listen, different ain't it? Let's say she has too much going on with her hands.
What?
That's why he's saying she's a perpetrator. But she don't mess with me, because she knows what's up. I wish you could get her.
She says things like, here, let me help you with your strapless bra. And then she gets a handful. Ugh, she knows no one will believe us.
I like her to try me. I knock her out and then she'll go to jail.
The break is over.
I'm Caridad, and this is Tina. We go to St. Andrews. You?
I'm Leah. I just moved here from Louisiana. I go to Seascape Prep.
Move it, girls. We have just 3 more practices.
Oh, bougie, huh? I like you. We'll talk again later.
Okay.
Contestant number 2, Caridad, you're up. Posture, please. Here's your question. The Me Too movement has exposed an epidemic of powerful men who have inappropriately touched, propositioned, or held work positions over women who would not acquiesce to their sexual advances. If you were Miss Carnival Sensation and a young lady shared her story of abuse with you, what would you do to support her and get her the help she needs?
Let me speak for Caridad. The first thing you should do is believe the person. Second, tell the authorities. Any unwanted gestures, touches, or advances are unlawful. If you are the one who is being propositioned, find a trusting person and tell. A perpetrator's kryptonite is the spoken word. Luckily, Milagros has found a new job that pays more so she can be at home with Beto. Today, she's waiting tables at a conference titled Unveiling Secrets of Child Sexual Abuse.
We know that this is happening right here on St. Croix, so none of us can afford to act like it doesn't. Now Dr. Dennis will take questions.
I noticed my child started receiving some gifts from lots of teachers. Is that something I should worry about?
When you say a lot of teachers, I'm not so concerned. As long as all the students are getting gifts around a holiday or birthday, it's okay. It's when one child is singled out for special attention that we need to be concerned.
I used to think children were making it up or they were being coached.
The children are not making it up. Believe them. Believe them. Believe them. Most children just cannot come up with the type of details sexual assault entails. There are very few cases of one parent coaching a child to call foul, and let's say another parent, when going through divorce or something like that. Keep your eyes open. Make sure your child is supervised. Early morning, afternoons after school, and the evenings are prime times for abuse to take place. Victimizers are looking for vulnerable people.
I regret not listening to my daughter. What can I do?
Support her. Be honest with her. Let her know that you made a mistake. Ask for forgiveness. Now, in closing, remember any change in behavior, usually opposite from what you're used to, is a chief sign of abuse. Pay attention. Ask questions. And once again, believe your child. Thank you all for coming.
Miss, can I talk to you? I don't know what to do. My mom takes care of my son, and I blame myself.
Oh, no, honey. Let's talk.
These are the moments when I relax a little. I know there are people like Dr. Dennis in our community who are watchdogs for this abuse. She and others are available for the victim and their families. We need more people like her. This is a good day. Many truths will come out. Doubts will be no more.
Hola, mija. Lo siento mucho. Ay.
Ay, mami, no.
You blame me, no? You wouldn't talk to me.
I did, but not anymore. It's that we're so open. Whoever did this knew they could because it's just us. Come, Maya, abrázame.
You still don't know who?
No, Beto won't say anything. I'm killing my brain trying to think. But look, I talked to this lady at my job. She's a therapist. She gave me these books and she would help him and us. She said it's not our fault. I blame myself too. I could have just stayed with Cisco. I could have made him stay.
It would not have been right, you know. He's, you know.
Yes, I know. He's happy. But he will be furious if I tell him.
I'm sad, but I'm happy too. You're not mad at me anymore.
No, how can I be? I love you, Mai. Beto starts therapy tomorrow. I used to think therapy was only for rich people. But Dr. Dennis, that's her name, let me see that it's for everybody who needs help.
We have no idea what things hidden in the dark may come to light. Many children have faced immeasurable cruelty with no ally, no one to come to their aid, no one to ask a simple question like, "What's wrong?" or "Is everything okay?" These children, having found no one to stand up for them, feel guilt and shame. Then there are others.
When my mother finds out, she gonna beat your ass.
What are you talking about? I said your shirt doesn't fit.
And then you touch me. You think it's because I'm quick you can make your move?
That was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Like the mistakes you always make. I hear the other girls talking about you. You don't know who you play with, lady. My mother is a women's studies professor at UVA.
What is going on here?
Nothing. She's just upset because
You don't speak for me. She touched my breast when she was so-called helping me with my shirt. It was deliberate. Then she tries to gaslight me and say I made a mistake. My mother told me all about this kind of thing.
Okay, Tina, come into my office. We'll get your mother on the phone. Copen, don't go anywhere.
I have another engagement.
Not at this moment, you don't. Call and tell them you will be late, at least an hour.
Now this makes me happy. I am beside myself with joy. Do you see the difference? This child is 15 and called out the behavior as soon as it happened. She has a mother who talked to her about sexual assault, including the fact that women can be perpetrators too. Most importantly, Tina is confident that her mother will believe her. Dr. Dennis has reports about Caridad, Beto, and Leah. She wants justice for all three, and it looks like she will not get any. The pressure of this job weighs greatly on Dr. Dennis.
It's Dr. Dennis in the morning, and today we are talking about justice. Why aren't the jails packed with these vile pedophiles? Our children are good, sweet children. They go to schools that need repair. They live on an island riddled with litter. The gun crime rate is sky high. They are being preyed upon by good, upstanding looking people in the community from all walks of life. They are not safe in their homes. They're not safe at school. They're not safe at their activities. They are not safe. And then too many people don't believe them. It's as though keeping up an appearance is all that matters. I came here to help, and sometimes I just don't know. Yes, caller.
What going on with you, my son? Your mic.
I'm not in the mood today. My sound system is just fine.
For once, I was going to say, you realize it's live, right? Everybody across the island just hear all of what you had to say.
Yes, I wanted them to hear.
Well, that was a lot. You ever have any good stories come out of all of this?
I have near stories, Sammy. I get an account. We get a police report. The attorney general gets an allegation with evidence. They don't get convicted. My client doesn't get justice. I know how important this is. These children will grow up, and like me, they will always have that one thing following them. It will manifest in eating disorders, anxiety, depression. Let's not start talking about relationship issues. I don't want it to happen to another person. And you know what helps? Belief. Parents will say, yes, I believe you. And too often, it's just not there.
Dr. Dennis, this is not the time for you to give up, because there's another child, man or woman out here that you're helping, and you don't even know.
Thank you, Sammy.
I really needed to hear that right now.
Yes, this work continues. If Dr. Dennis stops, if you stop, what would I do? Silence will continue unchecked, and you can't let that happen. I came to be broken.
I need to talk to you.
Not now. I'm practicing for the pageant.
Tamara's mother wouldn't let you go over to their house.
I can't stand her anyway.
And Jara, and Michelle, and Carla? On Facebook, Michelle's mother was talking about having to protect their daughters from loose influences. Are they talking about you?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Pictures of you at a party with alcohol, with boys.
I like boys. How is that a problem?
People are talking.
Well, people don't talk about what they need to talk about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I kissed a few boys, and there are pictures to prove it. So what?
I don't know what's wrong with you. Accusing your father? Now this? It's all over Facebook and Instagram.
Well, whatever. You get it. I'm the bad girl. I am. I am bad. You have a beautiful, genius, bad daughter.
You can't stay here. This community is too small. I can't take this anymore.
Good. I don't want to stay here either. I'm calling Auntie Lyra back home. She'll come get me. I like her better than you anyways.
The pressure to find understanding can manifest in promiscuity and anger. The confusion of roles, behavior, and crime combine in a volatile mix that can further damage a child victim of sexual abuse. Teens are curious about sexuality, and when they find out on their own terms, their reactions are seldom like this. Today we meet Cisco Vega, Milagros' ex and father of her second child. He's an avid gardener.
Good morning, sweet Quilton. Beautiful oleander. Grow, grow, grow. You need some fertilizing, I see. How about some classical music, eh? Or better yet, some Santana. Oye, como va? Adios mio. That man's so stupid.
You have to go with me. We have to talk.
Don't put your hands on me. Go with you, loco. I'm not going anywhere. What's wrong with you?
You want to do this here then?
If you want to get a proper beat down in my yard, that's your choice. I haven't done anything to you.
It's what you do to Beto.
What do you mean? What happened to Beto?
What? You acting like you don't know? That's worse. I gonna kill you.
For something I don't even know about? Winston, don't be dumb. I love Milagros. Why would I make her suffer for doing something to Beto?
It's your kind now. Do this heck.
Somebody molest Beto? Oh my God, no, Winston. You accusing me of... What? No, you deserve a beat down for that.
You really don't know?
Winston, I go there to see my daughter. How many long now? Who have anything bad to say about me except ISIS? I like mine, not little boys. Who? Beto say it was me?
No, I just...
Assume.
Sick people of any sexual orientation abuse children. It's not only unfair, but wrong to make an assumption of child abuse based on who a person is. Remember, when an incident arises, let the proper authorities deal with it. A victim of sexual abuse will try to control the situation in the only obvious ways they know. Basically, they want to leave, avoid, or prevent situations that bring about unwanted contact. Here is Caridad, anticipating the next incident and deciding there will not be another. Her long hair is draped over her face, and she stands, scissors in hand, before her mirror.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? This is where Esther says, "You are, my dear. You're better, smarter, prettier than all the other girls." Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And this is where creepy Copen will say, "You are, my dear. Let me stroke your hair, your back, your breasts." Much better. Now no one will have anything to say.
Carrie, time to get out here. It's your final fitting for business wear. You always keep Copen waiting.
I'm ready.
Already? Oh my God! What have you done, you stupid girl?
Relax, it's only hair. Only hair.
What about this pageant? You have 4 pageants after this one. You chopped off your hair. It's all uneven. And it's so short. Stupid girl.
You don't care, do you? Copen can grope me all she wants as long as you get a pageant queen. Well, she's been accused.
Don't go there. I'm sure that child could be lying or exaggerating, just like you. You are going to ruin scholarship opportunities. For what?
Why would I lie about this?
Stuff like this happen all the time. It happened to me. It's no big deal. You'll be all right. It's just part of life. A silly misunderstanding. You're not seeing the big picture. And it's short. There's nothing we can do about it.
Well, I guess we're not going to the fit-in.
You need church.
Some family members who were themselves abused accept inappropriate behavior as a rite of passage that everyone lives through. Most adolescent offenders do not go on to be adult offenders. Sometimes they make a terrible choice because most likely they've been assaulted themselves.
Okay now, class, take out your novels, Kite Runner. Today we're going to talk about the theme. Then you're going to prepare for a paper on a novel. All right, what's the big idea?
Making up for something you did wrong.
Yes. Now, how does the author Hosseini do this? What sentence is repeated throughout the book?
I think it's...
A chance to be good again?
You stole my answer. Anyway, it's actually, there's a chance to be good again.
I don't see how though. When there were kids, Amir didn't help him friend, and him friend get raped by Asif. Asif is the rapist's name, right?
Yeah, that's his name. If you see a friend getting assaulted and you don't do anything, how you could be good after that?
Well, it seems as though events are placed in our lives to make us choose differently. But I see what you're saying. It's not completely equal.
Nah.
Juanito, your hand is up. You have a question?
What about Asif? I mean, he was pure evil in the book, but people don't start out that way, and he don't get any better. Does that mean once you do something like that, you can't be good anymore?
It depends on the person. According to a training I did with the Women's Coalition, most people like Asif who commit horrible acts are themselves victims of abuse. It doesn't make it right, but I suppose they would need therapy to realize the consequences of their actions and get help. Then yes, they could be different, but even they will be forever affected by what they did.
I came to tell the inner truth of Lea Caridad and Beto. I'm caught off guard by Juanito. And so you see, the secret revealing is complicated. Juanito never told anyone of his own abuse by an uncle. There are people in his family who know and said or did nothing. His heart yearns to be clean again. But what does he know of innocence when it was taken so young? Truthfully, I struggle still with compassion for him. And this is yet another reason that if you know something, say something. Break the silence for generations to come.
Open up, police.
What's all this about?
We have a warrant for the arrest of Stephen Paul Gaudet.
What for? This is insane.
For the assault of a minor, 15 and under.
This is a mistake.
This is no mistake. Understand, however, that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
I don't understand, Laura. I don't understand. You know,
Oh, Stephen.
Get my lawyer.
You. What did you do? What will happen to us?
I gave the tapes Dad made to Dr. Dennis. I found them and gave them to her because you wouldn't do anything. And Sarah.
Sarah?
I guess I was getting too old for him.
Sarah?
Auntie Lara is coming for us. I called her. I told her everything, and she believed me. She said he'd done the same thing to a cousin years ago.
What will I do? What will I do? What will I do now?
To understand how a mother could allow such a thing to happen to her daughters, you would have to understand the fear in this home. Lara suffers on many levels. When her husband went for her daughter, he did not hit Lara. So she saw and didn't see. She is crippled by inertia. The girls are fortunate to have an aunt that took them out of a most dysfunctional home. Sometimes a family member needs to step in to help suffering children. Are you that family member? And so we near the end of our stories. Let's drop in on Beto to see how he's doing.
Hey, baby, what it is you're doing?
Shh. Look there, Mama. It's a chicken hawk. They are so cool.
It's been coming in the yard for days.
Where? Oh, I see he now.
She pretty, eh?
He sure is.
Dr. Dennis said I could be an ornithologist. It's a person who studies birds. See, I draw her.
Ornithologist, baby? That's so good.
Look, she's flying away. I wish I could have wings like that. I'd fly to that mountain.
It looks like you are going to be okay. Oh, my boy, I hope so. Mwah.
Yes, Beto will be forever different. But little by little, with the help of his mother, he's finding joy in life again. Across the island, it looks like Leah is creating another poem.
Body, the midst of shame and guilt and fear disappears when the darkness is too full for even the night, and sun rays emblazon what is right. And then I know, and then I am sure, this is my body made just for me, my body, my prize, my love, mine, always and forever, only mine.
Sexual abuse is not committed solely against the body. It changes a person's perception of self. It throws their development off course and causes an irreparable shift in the course of the victim's life. Leah is in the process of reclaiming her body. Beto's spirit is beginning to soar. Reclaiming their mind will take longer. If you still have doubts about the seriousness of this issue, let me be clear. No adult has the right to violate a child or a young person's body, mind, or spirit by any means. As we have seen, abuse can happen anywhere by anyone. Places of worship are no exception. Today we visit a retreat held at the Church of Holy Oneness.
Let us think on what suffer the little children means. Let us think on the meaning of forbid them not to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Suffer is an interesting word, to feel pain, hurt. But here Jesus means to put up with, deal with, take responsibility for the children's spiritual growth and understanding. Not just the good children, but the loud ones, the crying ones, the annoying ones.
And the hurt ones.
Yes, and the hurt ones. I'm not bothered by them. And don't do anything to stop them from coming to me, Jesus says. In a greater sense, the message is we are the agents that must help children know who God is. Yes, Carrie, question on the reading?
So you mean if someone hurts a child, that person stops the child from seeing God?
In a sense, yes. They will always be with God, but any wrongdoing done to a child prevents that young soul from truly understanding God's goodness in this world. And anyone who doesn't help a child does the same. Now let us open up our hearts in petition.
I would like to pray in Jesus' name for my husband Gregory. He's fighting stage 4 lung cancer. It has been so difficult. I wish God's light could just shine on him and our whole family.
Amen.
Let's pray for the children who are molested. I pray for God to help them when they don't have anyone to turn to.
Amen. Let us also pray for churches everywhere to provide true sanctuary and support for abused children, that no church official covers up not one more case, and that the abused receive healing so they can truly know God's justice.
Wait till we get home. You like to throw words? I have something for you. Meet me in the car.
Carrie, hi. I like your question and your petition. I'm Dr. Dennis. I deal with this issue. If you need anything, here's my card.
Thanks. My mom's waiting for me.
From experience, most children don't reach far beyond their family for help. They might go to a teacher or a school counselor, but oftentimes the weight of guilt and shame is too much to bear. It takes courage for anyone to pick up the phone and call for help.
Hello? Hello? Dr. Dennis here. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? My name is Caridad. I go to your church. You stopped me after my petition on Sunday. If you are busy, I can call another time.
No, I'm not busy at all. Your question was insightful. Was there any reason that you brought that up?
Well, there was a girl who's accused a lady my family knows of touching her inappropriately, and it really bothered me.
Do you know the girl?
Sort of. I go to school with her.
Does this involve you in any other way?
I just wanted to know what would happen to her.
The girl or your family friend?
The family friend.
It depends on what allegedly happened. I work with victims and for victims, so I can help with an investigation by contacting the proper authorities, helping the Attorney General's office to prepare a case. I also help victims go through the process of healing. Hopefully, there will be a conviction, but I'm really here for the victims.
So, she'll go to jail?
Possibly. What can you tell me about the girl?
Oh, her mother complained. That's why I wanted to know. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. The lady just touched her.
Well, any unwanted touching is a big deal. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
I think I should go now.
Other mothers rally to Copen's defense. The girls are under stress, they said. They're imagining touches for wardrobe corrections. Tina's mother pulled her from the program, as all parents should have, but didn't. Copen continues to make dresses for queen shows. I try, but sometimes I silence am deepened by community disbelief. This can't happen to us, they think, but it does, far more than we care to admit.
It's Dr. Dennis in the morning, and today, ladies and gentlemen, is a good day. I apologize for my rant the last time I was on. Thank you all for the support. I can see that this is a community that is waking up. I like to say it is completely woke, but we have so much more to do until every child in the Virgin Islands is safe. But like I said, this is a good day. Caller, go ahead.
Morning, Dr. Dennis. What's with you, sir, today?
I can't give you the details, but we are working on a conviction.
Oh, that fella that been in the paper. I hear from somebody he was taking picture of his young daughters. I wanted to give all them give it to the police.
I can't comment on the case, but yes, it was in the paper.
Hey, these people, my son. So what gonna happen to he?
Well, if convicted, he could face 25 years to life.
His own daughters, though? Hey, if I were the judge, I'd take he rasgalos be and hang he. These people don't even understand how your life does get messed up. It take me a long time to trust people again. I can't.
Sammy, let me tell you something. Last year, WCSC provided counseling to 112 adults who were sexually assaulted as children. Their number is 340-773-9272. Give them a call. Sometimes we won't know just who does need it. These silent crimes could have happened to any of us.
Yeah, well, I got on this side. Keep up the good work.
Sammy called. All he needed was acknowledgement that what happened to him was wrong and that his conflicted emotions surrounding his own abuse was legitimate. I hope it has helped you as well. Dear listeners, my work is hardly through, but I must leave this venue now. In 2017, WCSC assisted 98 child victims of sexual abuse. I need you to help me. Keep a vigilant eye on young people. Believe them and report.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse.
Woohoo! Brava! Brava!
So thank you all for listening, and we hope that more people will join us throughout this panel discussion that we're going to have coming up. Kim Mills is going to be our moderator, and Clemma Lewis will be our hostess with the mostest. And first, Kim, I think wanted to ask a couple of questions just really quick before we get into the panel discussion. Wanted to acknowledge the cast of Silence Speaks.
Hi, good evening, everyone. What an incredible broadcast we were treated to. Very brilliant, very realistic, entertaining, challenging, and of course necessary. Just wanted to acknowledge, we have one of the writers of Silence Speaks here tonight, Sayeeda Carter. Also some of the cast members. We have Jamaris and Debbie and Shalene. I think I heard Lavon's voice as well. If there's anyone else I've missed, amazing job. Just really, really award-winning material. And we just wanted to take a moment, and if Sayeeda would please just give us a response of approximately 1 minute. And please talk about why you first became involved with this project.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't expecting that, but it's a horrific crime that totally has kept me wondering about humanity. And when I was approached by the Women's Coalition as a possible writer, I contacted a fellow coworker, English teacher, excellent writer, and we sat around and came up with this. And it was just really important for us to make sure that people know that it's happening all around us. It's happening quietly. It's happening to the devastation of families and of young people. So the theater that I'm most interested in is theater with a purpose. So I was happy to lend whatever talents I had to this project and gather up actors that I knew and just stick with the Women's Coalition and their incredible work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sayeeda. Yeah, I was thinking just, I hope there will be opportunities really to share that fantastic writing and that fantastic acting with more audiences. It's very, very powerful and very impactful, and a perfect backdrop to frame our evening tonight and our time together.
So now I think we're gonna move over to Clemma Lewis, our executive director.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Women's Coalition event. We're really happy to have you here. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Child Abuse Prevention Month, and today is Denim Day. And today we asked everyone to wear denim and post a picture on our Instagram so that we can show survivors of sexual assault that we support them wherever they are, anywhere in the world, whether they're here on another island, but we wanted them to know for Denim Day that we had their back. So if you haven't posted your picture in your denims, you still have time to do that as well. Also, I wanted to say that we're celebrating something that's really special to us. We're celebrating 40 years. It's almost hard to believe we have spent 40 years of providing services in this community. I mean, for a nonprofit, believe it or not, y'all, that's huge, 40 years. And we're excited that we were able to do it for a community that we hold close and dear to our heart. I hope we're able to continue to provide as much service as we can, but I guess what happens will detect that, you know, the old saying is hopefully one day you all will put us out of job and we won't have to be here. That's the hope, that one day you won't need the Women's Coalition. That's really our dream, you know, the mission. So tonight we bring you Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. And tonight we'll be having a panel discussion and we'll have a speak out and a survivor as well to speak. Our focus tonight is what does justice look like for victims and survivors? And each particular panel will focus on that. But when we talk about what justice look like for victims and survivors, we're talking about it in context, whether you're a sexual assault survivor or child abuse survivor, either one. But what does justice look like to you? Because we never look at justice for victims. We out there fight to get people out of jail and make sure they don't, but we never think about the impact that sexual assault and child abuse has on a person's spirit and soul. So tonight we hope that we'll be able to give you some information and enlighten you on that. I want to do a special thank you to all of the Women's Coalition, our staff. We have a hard worker group of people here. I am so proud of the staff. I mean, we provide these services to y'all every single day, 365 days out of the year. When they work at home, they work here, they work when they go home. So I want to give a special shout out to our entire staff, and especially the staff that's on today behind the scenes that make sure that this event take place. I want to thank the panelists for agreeing to come and speak on the evening. Oh, I want to give a special shout out to those two wonderful writers, Sayeeda and Regina. Thank you for putting such a powerful piece together for us. And the cast was amazing and continue to be amazing. I think that Silence Speaks will live with us forever. I don't think that it's going anywhere. And long as we can, we'll continue to give you the opportunity to preview it. All media, the media is really great to us. They let us come out and speak, talk about silent speak, sexual assault, child abuse. They open up their shows so that we could talk. We want to thank all the media for letting us come, but we want to do a special thank you to WJKC Communication. He has aired this show for free on all of his stations. And whoever listening from there, please know we humbly say thank you. We like to thank VI Consortium. Whenever we ask him to partner with us, he has never said no, and we want to give him a special thank you. And then we want to give a special thank you to the Queen, Mother, Grandmother of the Earth that I'm sure is sitting on her throne right now. We want to thank the Virgin Islands Caribbean Cultural Center / radio of WVI for broadcasting tonight. So we got 3 broadcasts. We got the Caribbean Theater, we got WJKC, and we got VI Consortium. And that's pretty tough. That says a lot about our community that these groups are comfortable with broadcasting. Because believe it or not, when we first broadcasted, I actually had a senator call me and said some of the language in the skit wasn't appropriate to air. I said, excuse me? He said, Clement, y'all can't air this because some of the things I said, you know what? That's the problem. He said, ain't me, Clement, ain't me, it's my constituents. I said, well, go back and ask your constituents, have any of them ever been sexually assaulted? And the reason people are being sexually assaulted because we do not want to talk about it. So we're going to continue to air it. And if somebody offended, it might mean something going on in their life. So if they got offended, I hope they reach out for help because that's what we're here for. I would also like to, at this time, because we're so excited and I want to especially thank the audience. I want to thank everybody that's viewing, whether you on your iPad, Facebook, however you viewing Zoom. Thank you so much for being a part of the audience tonight. And whether you're a survivor, victim, a family member, working the work, just want the information, we appreciate you participating, and make sure you share whatever information you get tonight, just to let survivors and victims know that we're here for them. And there's no strings attached, no judgment. We are here. At this time, I want to introduce, she was kind of introduced a little bit by Carolyn, but I want to bring back our distinguished moderator. Her name is Dr. Kimberly Mills, PhD. She's the Senior Executive Director of the Virgin Islands University Center for Excellence in Development Disability. She's a full-time professor at UVI. She has a lot of other titles. I'm not going to list them all, but a lot of titles, a lot of affiliations. She's on a lot of boards. But what's important to me is she's a board member for the Women's Coalition, and I'm really proud of that. And on top of being a board member, she's a victim advocate for victims as well. She did the training, so she's done that walk as well. And for all of that, I'd like to say, Dr. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to be our distinguished moderator. And I turn it over to you. Thank you all for being here.
Sure. Clemma, thank you so much. It's certainly my pleasure to be here and participate in such an important night. I'm just going to take a moment and introduce our panelists for this evening. The theme for our discussion tonight is, what does justice look like for survivors and victims of sexual assault? So throughout our discussions tonight, from various stakeholders and practitioners and counselors and other allied professionals who work around this field, we're going to be talking about themes of justice, keeping in mind everything we've seen in the videos, the background information and context we all bring, and then of course, everything that we will bring together tonight through this process. I wanted to start by introducing our first panelist, who's Clemma Lewis, of course. Everybody knows Clemma is the Executive Director of the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. I tend not to read verbatim off of the PowerPoint slides, so I'll just save everybody time, but just do want to acknowledge Clemma Lewis and her incredible work with the Women's Coalition, leading, directing, deeply embedded in the community, deep roots, and just being an incredible advocate for women, for children, for boys, for girls, for men. who have been victims in this community, and she's a real champion, and we love her very much, and we appreciate all the work that she's done. Also have joining us Annette Scott, parent facilitator for Women's Coalition of St. Croix, has again dedicated service to the prevention of abuse and neglect and such and so on and so forth. Ms. Scott is a strong believer in investing in our youth and community to enable them to choose healthier and more productive lifestyles that will enhance their future. We also have joining us tonight as a presenter, Liz Stewart, who is a counselor for children at the Women's Coalition for St. Croix. She possesses the master's in counseling psychology, and priorities to Liz include health and mental well-being for children and families. And of course, she is happy to be here tonight participating in this event on behalf of children and victims of sexual and child abuse. We're so honored to have joining us Mr. Tariq McMillan, licensed professional counselor and founder of Greater Changes LLC. Tariq also holds a master's degree in clinical and mental health. And a priority for Tariq is his belief in the transformative power of counseling. So we're very excited to have some pretty amazing counselors on this team, and helping to break down the stigma associated with mental health. Also joining us this evening, Sandra Gerard-Leung, who is a Prison Rape Elimination Act coordinator from the Virgin Islands Bureau of Corrections, and specializes in training Bureau of Corrections staff, inmates, volunteers, contractors about abuse, victimization, rape, harassment. Also a proud member of the Rotary Society, the Rotarians, and works very hard towards preserving the culture of the Virgin Islands in the work that she does in this community. We're also pleased to have joining us Mr. Clarence Payne, Director of Emergency Intake Unit for the St. Thomas Virgin Islands Department of Human Services. And has spent his career serving youth and families in the US Virgin Islands. So very distinguished group of panelists joining tonight. A nice diverse cross-section, and most importantly, or equally as important, members of the Women's Coalition staff, members of the community, and others who will add to this robust discussion tonight. So I'm going to turn it back over to Deborah, I think.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't appear that Mr. Payne is with us at this time. But hopefully he can join us as the program continues. I just wanted to quickly read Sonia Ewer's comment on Silence Speaks before we move into the next part of the program. She said, I think this program should be aired on a regular basis because more people need to hear it. They need to know that it is not okay for anyone to force them to do anything they're not comfortable with. This program is quite necessary, especially for young people. So we thank you very much, Sonia, for making that comment and for that insight and sharing that with us. I'm Deborah, and I'm done speaking.
Debbie, I'm going to launch the poll. Should I do that right now? The first poll? Okay, as host. All right, so we're asking everybody to actually, we're going to put up a poll, and we'd like everybody to answer these questions. We always like to collect information about our events and kind of find out how everybody is, what they're thinking and what they know. So I'm going to launch this first poll and give everybody a few minutes. So please go ahead and take a look at it. We'll give folks maybe 15 more seconds. Okay, I think we'll close the poll now and see where we're at. And I'll share our results with everybody. Just let everybody read that, see where everybody's at. Well, that's good. 100% of the people have heard of victim blaming and victim shaming before, so that's good. And everybody thinks that justice is supported, so that's great. Okay, so back to you, Kim.
Okay, great. Yes, thanks everybody for participating in the poll. I think that the response to the first question is really a great backdrop for our discussion because we nearly had a 50-50 split. You know, we had everyone agreeing that they've heard of these terms, everyone agreeing that's important, but on the main theme of our discussion tonight, which is justice, we pretty much had a dead split. Some people said, yes, it's possible, but we had a good 40% saying, not exactly sure. And I think that that's very interesting data for us to keep in mind, because certainly we all know that justice is important, but to really understand some of these factors that are preventing and are hindering and why we have doubts as to whether justice can be achieved in this community. So great way to start everything out. So I have already introduced the panelists, and I'm going to just jump right in with some questions for our panelists. And I'm going to start with our therapists, who are Clemma and Liz and Tariq. And I would love for everyone to respond, and if possible, if it would be possible to keep the responses to about maybe 1 to 1.5 minutes per person, because we'd really love to hear the diversity of opinions, but you know, between about 1 and 1.5 minutes, so we can really hear from everybody. But I'm going to present the first question to the therapists. How do you, as therapists, provide support to a victim of sexual assault and or child abuse? And how do you think the community and people in general can provide support to a victim? And whoever would like to go first, you can raise your hand, just jump in.
Okay, I'll start.
Why don't we start with you? Yeah,
I'll start. So how do we provide support for survivors? We've been working with survivors for 40 years. And how we provide support, we provide individual counseling, family counseling. We go to court with the survivors. We prepare them for court. We're in the hospital with them when they get in the medical exams. We go to the police stations with them when they have to give the report to the police that we're there supporting them. If they need food, clothing, shelter, safety, we're there. When they call to court, we advocate on their behalf. We write. So we like to say we provide wraparound support and services to survivors of sexual assault, and we do the same thing for children. We provide counseling to them as well. We do family counseling. We advocate on their behalf, whether it's in the home or within the system. And so we try to provide the same services, even though Human Services is the agency that's on call after hours. So we try to provide the same services to both, and that's how we support them. And the most important thing is we believe them, we non-judgmental, and we don't blame them for somebody else perpetrating crimes against them. And I think that's critical. The first thing we tell victims is that it's not your fault. We believe you and we support you.
Thank you so much, Clemma. And really, that point of really just believing the victim came out so saliently during those powerful podcasts. Thank you again. What about you, Tariq?
Yeah, I feel like by the time it's time for me to speak with a client, they've already gone through so much of the victim blaming that was mentioned earlier, as well as so much of the shame that comes along with it sometimes. And a part of my job is creating a safe space for them to be able to communicate and to know that like this is a space where they're not being judged, they're not being blamed for the actions of someone else. And I think that is the biggest way as a clinician that I know how to help. They go through their day to day, some not even saying anything because of the fear of being blamed, because of this idea that they may have they did something that brought this on. You know, so when they walk into, we could say the office, but I do telehealth. So by the time they're on the screen and we're having this conversation, it's refreshing and oftentimes surprising when I'm like, this wasn't your fault. Let's talk about the way that it's affected you. And that's how as a clinician I support my clients.
Great. And you know, the point about safe space is an important one, and we'll delve into that a little bit more deeply in the following question. But I'd love to hear what Liz has to say about this.
Thank you. I agree with Tariq in a lot of that. And I was thinking this afternoon about what safety is what justice is. And I think justice is for the child in particular to be safe, the victim to be safe, which involves a lot of things, including the legal aspects of it. But for me, very similar to Tariq, creating a space where the victim can come in, the children can come in, and they feel safe and comfortable, providing space for them to be heard and seen and talk with no judgment, or not talk about things, but somebody that understands, that can help their family understand if their family is not sure and doesn't want this out there and doesn't really want to talk about it.
Liz, thank you so much for that response. And you know, it seems like we certainly heard a lot of common themes: believing them, safe space, an opportunity and an environment to talk, really critical foundational things that are clearly needed. And delving a little bit further on this issue of safe space, the next question is going to be for our parent coordinator, Annette. You know, we've heard about the importance of a safe space. We've heard about the importance of believing the child. And I would love it, Annette, if you can talk to us a little bit about how parents can help their children who are victims of child sexual assault. But I want you to talk about it in the context of a parent being a safe space, and also give advice if it were that the parent is not a safe space. So a two-pronged approach, if you wouldn't mind.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, to the first part of it is the parent being supportive for the child who has undergone sexual assault, believing them and giving that emotional support, because the justice system would prosecute the person, but the emotional support is not there in the household and the parent and in the community. So even though justice was served and possibly the family got broken up because the perpetrator, which I call serial perpetrators and serial rapists and molesters of children, got convicted because that child spoke up, the family within itself is not always supported. You may have a male child that will call the other male child anti-man all day long, or you have the community that's so pissed off from the family that they ostracize them, and they do so many things threatening them to say, you sent a good man to prison, or you shouldn't have believed your child. So these emotional supports must be part of our community in helping survivors of child abuse and sexual assault. And now if the parent is a a parent who has suffered generational rape, molest, child abuse, it's even harder because the parent doesn't have the emotional support because their thing is, it happened to me, you need to get over it. You know, the person is out of the house now, look what you did. So until we grasp hold of the emotional support and believe in the child, believe in the victim, and both community and family members, the abuse is not going to stop. They get re-victimized. Even though the perpetrator is in jail serving 30, 40 years, even in church, sometimes they have to change church because they sent the clergy to prison or the bus driver to prison. You know, so it's deep. The re-victimization and the emotional support that is so needed throughout the community must begin today.
Thank you. And, you know, just I agree 100%. And you've hit on so many important points. Again, the belief, the safe space, you know, just, and the therapy, sort of the healing that needs to be done beyond the justice. So it sounds a little bit like you're saying that what justice looks like for survivors is therapeutic rehabilitation. You know, sort of building back up them as a whole person again. And do you feel like there are adequate resources in the community for that therapeutic rehabilitation?
No, we don't have enough. The key institution that could give that support is lacking it. They're lacking the psychologists, therapists, child psychologists, and psychiatrists in case the person has to be put on meds to maintain themselves. Lacking those resources, and we're lacking the one-on-one, the individual and the family resource, and we're gonna have to invest in it. If we're talking about healing our community and getting people transitioned back and feeling norm, years, depending how many years your abuse occurred. You know, it's almost like an addiction. If you were addicted 10 years, it's gonna take you 10 years to be sober. You know, so if you've been abused for 10, 20 years, it's gonna take you a long time to feel norm because you don't know what norm is anymore. You've gotten into an idea of this, you got comfortable feeling the pain and you lessen it by saying, well, this is what it is. So we've got to seriously put the money, resources, and professionals within the community to help the healing process.
Great. Thank you for that response. So it sounds like what justice also looks like for victims and survivors is access to enough personnel and qualified personnel. So one of our tasks then becomes advocating for funding for these personnel. So justice looks like access to good health care.
Yes.
Is basically what you're saying. So thank you. I'd love to hear now from Sandra from the Bureau of Corrections regarding restorative justice. Now, models of balance and restorative justice, sometimes called BARJ, relate to not only rehabilitation for victims, but also rehabilitation for offenders. So, Sandra, if you would, can you please talk about restorative justice initiatives, initiatives possibly where the perpetrator may apologize or possibly even interact with the victim? And is that even appropriate? And if so, what are the benefits? What are the possible detriments? So just talk a little bit about balanced and restorative justice as it relates to the prison system in the Virgin Islands.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. This is a really tough question because of the way the Bureau of Corrections is run. At the present time, we have no PREA cases, we have no prison rape cases. For those persons who are in prison for rape or sexual assault, there's no help for them at this time. And some of them don't want any help because they are not allowing themselves to understand why they're in prison. For those persons that we have who have been abused, therapy is almost nil. We have 2 therapists and 1 case manager for the island of St. Croix, and we have 1 mental health practitioner on the island of St. Thomas. We have today, I think the count was 161 people on St. Croix. That is inmates and detainees. 3 people can't do the work. Plus, we're not asking the questions. When a detainee comes in, they're given information in admissions as to what PREA is, and that they are to live in a cell, in a jail without being abused or sexually harassed. They then go to medical and they have a questionnaire that's asked about their sexual preferences and what has happened to them in their lifetime. Have they been abused? Do we do anything with that? I have just started working on that because it takes a month before I get the information because it goes into a system. So into a new computer system they have. So I don't get that information for 30 days. Before I did when it was handwritten because it could be emailed to me. What happens to those persons who have been abused in the past and they haven't talked about it? Sometimes when we're doing training, it comes up. And I do small trainings with inmates and detainees just so they can understand exactly what their rights are and who they can call and where they can go. My job is really to make sure that if something happens, that the process works. And because I am who I am, if something happens, the process is going to work. And if someone needs to be arrested, they will be arrested and they will go to court. That is my job as a PREA coordinator. But on the other side of the coin is that because I have knowledge, I want to make sure that things are done within the Bureau of Corrections. So we are now in the process of figuring out what do we do, how do we do it, and where do we get additional help. So for right now, restorative justice is null and void for right now. But I will say this, I had looked at these clips before. I now will talk to Carolyn about having them put on our jail television station.
Great.
Because I think that some of our inmates and detainees may now come forward. So many of them are also so young and have been so abused and have lived in abusive households for so many years, and the cycle continues that they sometimes come to jail and it's the only place where they're free from it. Also, many of them are not going to speak because they belong to gangs. But again, because I am who I am and because I speak to all of them and I go into the cell blocks, I am hoping that as time goes on, I will get additional information so that we can truly have programs that assist all of our people who are in the prisons. And that's really all I can tell you.
Well, Sandra, it was an excellent response. It was an honest response and very, very insightful. You know, as a practitioner that works with people with disabilities, one of the things I was thinking when you were speaking is this issue of critical needs shortages. When I first became a special education teacher, it was because there was a scholarship, because there were critical shortages of special education teachers. I almost can't think of any field where there is not a critical shortage of nurses, mental health counselors, special educators, math teachers. And as you were speaking, you know, I was really thinking about, so, you know, we really have to start looking at this issue from a critical shortage. And one of the things we have begun to do in special education is utilize models where we rely less on the professionals and more on the lay people. You know, models to empower parents as trainers, models to empower even the peers as trainers. And I wonder, you know, I haven't done any research related to, are there any peer training models, even for prisoners counseling other prisoners? but it's something I'm certainly going to start Googling and researching.
There are.
Yeah.
And I was just sent a peer training for inmates and detainees on PRIA.
Okay.
That I am now going through to see how we can use it.
Great.
So there are some peer programs in other facilities.
Yeah.
Again, our issue is staffing and such limited staffing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look at the peer training and also see if there's any additional training for officers.
Right.
But again, we are so short-staffed.
Yeah.
So yes, but there are peer trainings, and we might be able to get them in within the next 6 to 8 months and get something working. So I'm going to try.
Yeah, I mean, use what you got.
Exactly.
So, well, I mean, the nice thing is, I think, you know, with many cities that are so much more cities and regions that have many more resources, for them to have these critical shortages, how much worse is it for us here? Just being a little bit more geographically isolated. So, you know, really finding ways to use existing resources, and, you know, if there's any support I can give you in that, I'd be happy to assist.
Great, thank you.
So yeah, the next part of my question for you was really, what will it take? And it sounds like you really delved into that a little bit regarding resources, and just, did you have anything else to expand upon beyond more human resources regarding what it would take to really see that balanced and restorative justice take place?
Well, for the present time, we have the victim witness advocate from the Virgin Islands Police Department, and we also have the Women's Coalition and the Men's Coalition. So at this time, that's what we have, and that's what we'll have to use, because we have not had any claims of sexual abuse or rape. We have had some sexual harassment, and again, it's language being used by officers or staff. And the issue we have is having officers and nurses and other staff understand sexuality on a whole, and also changing the mindset. So that is something we're doing in our PRIA training and in our refresher training. So I think once they truly understand that people have different beliefs in sexuality than you do, and you have got to accept it. And it's hard. It's been hard.
Yeah.
You know, and I can give you an example. We had a young man who came in, and he had some violent behavior with his lover, and he didn't want to take off his clothes. And they called me immediately, because I've now said to them, if you even think the person is gay, call me. And we'll deal with it. Or if you think something is wrong, because at least I can sit and I can say to them, this is what the law says, and you are going to be free from any kind of harassment. So it was hard, though, to listen to the little words coming from behind from other people saying, oh, he's got a lover. Oh, he says he has a wife, he has a husband. So again, it's all of that belief that we have to change. So we're working on it. It's not easy, but we're getting there, and the mindset has to change. And it's a cultural mindset that also has to be changed.
Absolutely. You know, I
just wanted to add something, just to jump in, since it's going back and forth. I just wanted to add to Sandra. I heard what she said about victim advocate. A couple of years back, the prison had us coming in doing groups. I actually did an incest group right there in the prison for 6 weeks. We've done domestic violence groups. The Men's Coalition have come in and done groups, and we haven't heard from them in years. They asked and then they stopped asking. I think that when we talk about the resources ain't there, it's resources in the community. We would be willing to come in and work with victims, as long as we have a room and we safe like the other one. I can't speak for Tariq, but maybe, I know they get paid, but maybe some of the private therapists and groups would also be willing to come in and then services. I also know the Men's Coalition added as well, but that's been years. They've never reached out anymore, said anything. They didn't ask for any more services. So I don't know what you said.
Tariq has been in, and I know that all of the other groups have been in. I am hoping that once COVID says that we can start moving around, because we haven't had anybody in there in a year and a half, maybe we can start getting some people to come in and start doing some groups. Again, because of the shortage of staff, we've also got to work on that to make sure that those persons coming in are going to be safe. But it's on at the top of my list.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, Sandra, you mentioned something about culture, and this is a nice transition. I'd love to transition back to our counselors and maybe hear from Tariq and Clement and Liz regarding why do you think our culture tends to blame victims for what happened to them? And how does this hinder us from accessing justice?
With one of y'all, I don't want to keep starting.
Tariq, please, if you wouldn't mind.
I want to keep starting.
As for the reason why, I think it's such like a built into the culture. As a matter of fact, we had a conversation maybe 2 weeks ago about this very topic, where it was one of the hosts described this pattern of sexual assault and child abuse being under culture and hiding behind it. And I think a closer picture of what's going on is not so much it being under it, but being so like intertwined into the culture. There's the fact that we're a small community, and there's a lot of fear in calling somebody out in their behaviors, especially when you've grown up with this person for such a long time. And it's not a justification, but definitely one of the reasons behind it. The fear of violence, the fear of people looking at you as you're not to be trusted anymore because you've said this thing, you know. I think it's a lot of fear. It's primarily fear driven, especially when you look at someone's behavior and someone calls it inappropriate, someone calls it a part of rape culture, and then you have to look back at yourself and say, wow, I think I've done that as well. And it makes it even harder for somebody to call the behavior out. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's so many different factors. I think when we so having these kind of conversations, mm-hmm. and putting everything out there and letting people know that, hey, like, one, this is wrong, as well as if you're being sexually assaulted, if you've been abused, if you're being harassed, like we need to start creating those safe spaces within our communities. You know, it's not enough for just the provider, just the advocate to create that safe space within an office or over a screen. It has to be something that's built into the culture and built into the community. So when we get there, we'll start to see that cultural shift that's necessary. One of the things that I talk about often, especially with my wife, is that if we ever want to move forward as a people in the Virgin Islands or as within a region, we have to address these systemic issues, especially as it regards to sexual assault and any kind of rape culture.
Thank you, Tariq. And Liz, did you have anything else to add to that?
Yes. There's a therapist, and you all may know of him. I'm going to mispronounce his name, Reshma Menachem, who does therapy around generational trauma. And I think some of what we're seeing comes from that. And the idea of hiding it also comes from the generational trauma. He describes the pain of trauma as being dirty pain until you process it. And when you and then it's clean. It still hurts, but it's clean. But when the pain of trauma is not processed, then it gets passed along. and passed along in not listening to, not believing, passed along in perpetrating yet again, passed along in being a victim is a shameful thing. So I think there's some pieces of the community needing to heal generational things, finding a way to do that so that it doesn't get passed on and we can be the support that we want to be for the victims, our children, our families.
Liz, thank you so much, which really is a great segue into our next question about intergenerational child sex assault. We've talked about so many different things: the believing the child, need for safe space, need for adequate counselors, but lack of adequate counselors, diminished resources. In the face of all the things that we know we need, in the face of the things that we know works, in the face of all of the challenges that we know we have in this community, how can we tackle this issue of intergenerational violence and victimization?
So I'll start this time, so I can also add on to the last piece. I think the only way we can move the culture from where it is with hiding is that we got to get the community to understand that sexual assault and violence and child abuse is no longer secret. And we have a thing in our community about whatever goes on in our house stays in our house. So that's the first thing, we got to open the doors. We need agencies like the Women's Coalition, the private, we need every group that's out here working with victims or working with people to start saying that it's not okay, it's not a secret, because when you rape somebody in your house, that child go to school, it impacts the whole class, the police, the whole community is impacted. And so we have to keep talking about it. The longer, like I got the other day from about the comment about watch what you say and you can't say certain things on the radio. All we doing is encouraging this. Now, and I thought Liz did an excellent point in segueing into intergenerational, because the coalition been here for 40 years. And I guess I'm one of the oldies that have worked with generations of violence in families, from the granddaughter to the daughter to the mama to the grandmother. So I've been through generations of families here. And it's not broken because the family all get together and decide this is going to be a secret, and the whole community supports it. When that cultural interviolence breaks is when somebody in that family has gotten the help, trust the therapist, trust the counselor, and trust the support that I can change this. It can be a difference. If you can support me and don't leave me hanging, then we can change this culture. I mean, I worked with a family where 5 daughters were raped. The last one decided she wasn't going to take it anymore, and she reported it. We went to court. He was found guilty. You know how huge that was? It took the last baby out of 6 to finally just speak it. So we got to get the community to open up. We got to get and the coalition going to continue. We're going to continue to speak out. We're going to continue, but we can't do this alone. So we got to be open. We got to be supportive. We got to listen. I hear all the time, I was raped. I have never done a presentation where a victim have not come up to me afterwards or called me afterwards or something on TV and say, you know, I was raped when I was a child, Ms. Lewis. I reported it. Nobody believed me. Nobody supported it. They told me to keep my mouth closed. So it's time for us to stop that. It's time for us to open the door, or we're not going to stop this generation. The time is now. The time is now to step in, give the support, open the doors, and stop the secrets. It no longer should be silence and secrets, and it doesn't matter who your family is, where they came from, because everybody hurting. Our community is so dysfunctional with this topic. If we don't speak it out, put it out there, and get the support and help we need, this is going to continue for another 10, 20, or 30 years, unless we all make a commitment to support victims and do what we need to do. And I think I needed to say that. That's important. I've seen it too long, and we got to do it. We got to do the work. The community got to do the work. Thank you.
Well said, Clemma. Well said. You know, we have heard so much important stuff. And, you know, as Tariq mentioned, this is part of the healing. Just every time we have an opportunity to speak out, we've heard about, you know, people saying we need to get these broadcasts out more and more. I'm going to ask one more general question to our counselors. And I would also love to hear from the parent and as well as Sandra. And then we're going to open it up to questions from the audience to our panelists. But I would just love to know, is it possible for a victim to completely heal from sexual assault or child abuse? And if so, what is it going to take for that healing to take place?
I'll start. I do believe that it is possible to heal completely. Will they regain who they were before it happened? No. They're going to be stronger, but changed. It takes time and care and work that they should never have to have done. But being willing to do it and having the resources, the family support, or the therapeutic support. If the family can't support them, the therapeutic support to work through what's happened and regain a sense of self and strength. But I do believe very much that they can recover.
Thank you, Liz. Well,
I
that's
agree. I agree with Liz. And I think the added part is they need a love that they haven't had from other people. Others need to surround them and support them without a thought of it has to be okay. And as Clemma said, if we don't do this now, it's not going to end. Mm-hmm. And we've been there for so long fighting this, and it's still there. And I think of some of the young men that are in prison, some of them for sexual abuse, some of them for rape, and they don't understand it. And we're not dealing with them therapeutically so that they can understand it. And I'm scared shitless that they're going to come out and do it again. And that's my fear. And then I have those others who have been abused who don't understand what happened. It, you know, that family, that generational issue. So again, we have to make everyone know that it's not allowable in our community. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And we're going to support you and love you as a human being and know that, yes, you can get better. You're not going to forget it, but you are going to be a stronger person.
Sandra, thank you so much for that. When you were speaking, an image came to mind of that internet meme of that was going around at one point of all the women in India with bats. When you said we're not going to take it anymore. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Very important topic. Can victims be healed? If so, what it's going to take? Of course, have to hear from our wonderful director, Clemma Lewis, on this topic.
To say victims can be healed. I've worked with enough to see them, and yes, they can be healed. But Liz was so right when she said it's not going to happen overnight. So I've had survivors and victims that have been with me for 5, 10, 15 years, maybe as long as 20. They might get a certain way and they slip back and they come back. And that's the good thing about having us here. But there is definitely, they can definitely heal. And Liz was so right. But healing means different things to different people. They might be a different person, a stronger person. Maybe they changed the way they thought. Maybe they look at life different. But for me, healing is when you can get past it, you can move forward. You can speak about it without it re-traumatizing you. You can go somewhere and work with other people because you've been there, done that, and understand. And no, it's no longer secret, and you can talk about it. And I have definitely seen survivors move to that stage I'm very proud of, but it is not an overnight process. And I'm afraid for us, particularly people that come to counseling, and the other therapists could speak to it or not, they want to get therapy in a couple of days and a couple of weeks. They want you to fix them and send them home. The reality is it can take weeks, months, and years. And I know that's hard for people to hear. That's the reality.
Yeah, when I begin my sessions with a new client, I always go into this idea that it's not an overnight process, and some sessions are a lot more difficult than others. I think a part of the healing involves being able to identify the ways that the trauma affects you, and being able to like actively like check those responses. We've talked a lot about child abuse, and in the conversation that we had a few weeks ago, an important topic came up where like we talk about child abuse and it's this image of like somebody being like violently beaten or like physically abused. But when we talk about child abuse, it's so critical to make sure that the emotional aspect of child abuse is also mentioned. Because when you have a child in a home that's constantly ridiculed or all they know is violence, then there's no way to not expect that that's how they will resolve their conflicts, because that's what they know. You know, and I think a part of the healing is going to be understanding those connections between child emotional abuse, violence as a response at an older age, and then tapping into like what does it do to a community that's seeing a wave of violent crimes happening with a huge demographic of people who've experienced violence and only know violence as a response to conflict. And I think when we start having a lot more of those conversations, and sometimes these talks are really hard, but something that was said last week, or I guess the week before, is that historically, art has always been like the mover of things. You know, like if we want to translate these messages on a large scale in a more palatable fashion, at least for the survivors, it has to come, well, I feel it has to come through art. It has to be a easily transmittable form of communication that everyone can look at, even if it's a 30-second clip about what the experience looks like, so they know that they're not on their own and they know that they have help somewhere.
Tariq, what a beautiful response. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, the healing power of music and art and writing, it's well documented. It's something that is very appropriate for this culture, and it works, you know, and it's free. It's largely free. So even as we are thinking about solutions and, you know, how to move things forward, some things are coming up, you know, art, utilizing existing community resources, and again, safe spaces, bringing things out of the closet, making sure that there's good and clear discussions. This is really fantastic stuff. Annette, did you have anything to add?
Yes, just a small piece in the healing process that can definitely come about for the victim and the parent who has been court ordered to our classes due to child abuse, and helping them to move forward with a healing process, because a lot of times it's the way they were treated and the way that they were disciplined, that's all they knew, you know. And so the healing process will work for both parent and child once the acknowledgement is there, and they can move forward. But it's a wraparound service with healing them emotionally, and then with the going backwards and the relapse of child abuse against their child again, especially the mother who's decided to keep the child after she was raped. A lot of times there's no maternal connection there, no emotional connection with that child, who the world unloved, and reminded of the perpetrator who violated that mother. So the healing process is even longer for that parent. but it can work with therapy and sessions. And also, as we talk about therapy and counseling, that counselor, that therapist, that doctor must be culturally competent in the community to work with the community and work with the victims. And I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about our way of life. It's unique. It's unique from the mainland. A lot of times the doctors are coming in from the mainland. We need to educate and promote more community people in the field of psychology and therapy and medical care.
Yeah.
Just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. And, you know, there are some concrete things we can do. I just want to blurt it out before I forget. You know, sometimes it's a situation where, you know, you need to go away to come back. And there are, you know, some states that have even free programs and things like that. So I think certainly part of our solutions need to be how to build up the capacity of UBI to build up more robust trainings, but also even identifying places elsewhere where there is you know, free training in exchange for service, and maybe it is that somebody has to pay a student loan if they come back, but it's a fair trade-off. Because so we can certainly brainstorm around those kind of solutions, even additionally writing personnel preparation grants, which can help create these things where there previously was none. Before we go to the audience, I'm just going to ask each of our panelists to just, if there's anything that you haven't yet said regarding what does justice look like for survivors and victims of sexual assault, is there anything else that you would like to add before we open up this discussion to our audience?
I guess I'll start. When I think about justice for victims, since I work with them on a daily basis, it's different for different people. There's no one cookie cutter where they all fall in, but just some of the things I've noticed over all these donkey years is sometimes victims just need a system that's sensitive. Our system is not sensitive. When they go to the hospital, they're not sensitive. They get no confidentiality. When they go to police, they blame for the rape. When they go to the court, they treat it like the perpetrator, not the victim. Sometimes when they're in the church, if the perpetrator's in the church, then the church is split up, trying to decide who to take sides. It's almost like they can't get justice because everywhere they turn is such a small community. And we have a way with siding with who's the most popular, who's liked the most. And we have to be real. We side with family names, we side with popularity, we side with what their titles are versus the victim. I mean, I had a case where a man molested 25 kids on St. Croix. And I couldn't believe the people that was coming to me telling me those kids were lying. I'm like, 25 children lying? But he had a master's degree. He was an educator. The support he got was scary. And so we get that a lot. So we you know, and just housing for victims. I have victims that may live in a community where they rape and you can't even get the housing community to move them. Because then when the perpetrator comes out, he go right back to the community and they won't move her. How is that justice for her? She has to relive that all the time. I just think, and then just how we treat them. I was at a rape case. We went in one of the bakeries to get something in between the court case. And I think this is important to show you how small our community is. When I walked in, they were like, oh God, there go Miss Lewis. Hey, Miss Lewis, yeah, I'm used to that. But the victim was with me, right? And the first thing out the woman's mouth, Miss Lewis, can you believe that woman think he would rape her and he looked so good? I'm telling you, if there was a floor with a hole, I wanted to drop her in it, not me. The victim turned around and looked at me and just the tears started falling. I turned around and say, you don't even know nothing about this case. That was totally inappropriate. I didn't go into any details because the victim was there. I just had to kind of smooth it and get us out of there. And that's the stuff they face. So how do you get justice when people don't even believe you? They judge what you wore. They judge where you were. I had a defense attorney ask a 13-year-old girl on the stand to stop licking her lips in a trial. So even when they go there, they get raked over the coal. They bring up their past. When they go for a rape kit, that's like being re-victimized. So I was one of those middle grounds for where there's justice. I mean, in all these years, have seen a few victims that get justice, but I've seen a lot more that haven't. And so we got a lot to do. It's a systemic, just like racism, justice is the same. We got to work on this system and make it more sensitive and open and understanding, or our victims, they're gonna never get justice. And so I'm gonna leave it there.
Clemma, that was so beautifully stated, and you started to touch on a little bit about some aspects of rape culture in terms of how the victim is treated and how the perpetrator is treated. And I know we have a very diverse audience. Would you mind just talking a little bit about what rape culture is, so everybody just has a clear understanding of that? Because you were talking about it. And can you just really give us a good working definition for rape culture?
Well, the rape culture, as far as I'm concerned, is when people support the rapist and not the victim, and they downplay what actually happened. They want to say it was the victim's fault. They do the victim blaming, and then they take the piece about the perpetrator couldn't be a rapist because of how they look and how they talk and how they dress and the title they have and what family they come behind. And that's really big in our community. Trust me, it's huge. To the point when you go into court and trying to pick a jury, it might take days because you got to try to make sure on that jury ain't nobody a family member or nobody works for them or nobody supports this individual. They can even be one of the guys that bring in the musical people, that bring in all these famous rappers and dancers. It's that whole, it couldn't have happened because of who the person is and where they live. And so that whole culture, it supports the rapist. It does not lend anything to either believe in the victim, supporting the victim. And that's why I think we continue to have what we have here, where a lot of people get off when they shouldn't get off. And the jury play a part on it. Everybody plays a part on it, Kim. And it's really devastating when you have to work within in that system.
Yes, I understand. And that's what also increases the likelihood of vigilante justice, which even one of your lovely podcasts referred to. You know, in discussing justice and what does justice look like, you know, people can't get justice in the courts, you know, they're going to be more likely to seek non-traditional ways.
And I think that's what we're seeing all over the streets right now. People taking justice in their own, what they call justice in their own. I don't really call a lot of this violent gun violence justice, but that's really how they're looking at it as justice. And that's scary too.
Yeah, very scary. Tariq, Sandra, Annette, anything else about what does justice look like for survivors and victims of sexual assault? And Liz as well, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
I think a part of it has to be education. And, you know, this is a beginning of it. Education, information, just getting, I don't know how, we've been doing it for so long. We've been talking, we've been teaching, we've been educating, we've been informing, and we just have to continue. Because it's sad. It's a sad situation. And again, I see all of these young people, you know, anywhere from 19 to 27, who have lived in homes where abuse is just regular day to day. And then they have taken it into their own hands to get justice for something that has happened. And many times they don't understand why they did what they did. They know that they did it, but they don't actually understand why. And again, we are not touching it at corrections. So again, it's something that we need to do, because these people are going to come back out on the street. And it's going to happen again. So again, education, information, and just keep drilling it in and having these conversations.
Thank you so much, Sandra.
I also think the education needs to be in the schools.
with the younger kids. We need to start with teaching them so that as they come up, they understand, not obviously using age appropriate education, but giving them the tools from a very early age to understand this is my body, and nobody should be touching it other than possibly my mother, possibly my father, or the doctor. But if it doesn't feel good, I need to talk to somebody. That we don't hit each other, that we talk about given ways to be angry, but given healthy ways to express the anger, and that it's okay to express anger or sadness. I really think that that's also a piece of how we're going to change this.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And justice to be served completely for victims and sexual assault, because it's about power and control, is to have that roll over into the community and families, education, advocacy, and continue. We can't stop. We have to continue to help to change that mindset of you asked for it, or you shouldn't have been there, or that thing is so driven in people's minds and hearts that, you know, no one asks to be raped, male or female. A child doesn't ask to be beat down and hospitalized or even murdered. We have to start at the root of it with educating the parents, speak more at the parent associations to get that across. And you'll be surprised how many parents come forward at the end of sessions, and we have to make referrals to the Women's Coalition or referrals to the Department of Human Services, because the pain is there and it is deep. And we have to listen and believe the victims 100%, no matter how the story may seem. It's not a story, it's a real life action that occurred with the sexual assault. And listen to the person when they first start to report sexual harassment, because that leads right into one day being held down in the office and being raped. So we have to listen and believe the victims.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think
Go ahead.
justice looks like access to care, as well as access to systems that are specifically built to support survivors. It also looks like addressing parts of the culture that perpetuate rape culture. You know, addressing the pieces of our culture that look like respect, but don't encourage bodily autonomy, that don't encourage consent. You know, this idea, what comes to mind is this idea of like, you see an older person and you have to hug them. You see a close family friend and you have to show some kind of affection. And if it doesn't feel comfortable, then no one should be forced to have to engage in any act like that, you know? So when we start to address, and going back to what everyone said, it's about education. And once we start shining a light on those kind of things and having these conversations at a much younger age, so young children know what consent is, much more than the good touch, bad touch conversation. It's about, I need to have, this is my body, this is my space, and I don't deserve to feel uncomfortable in it. I think once we get there, we'll start to see a huge shift.
Thank you so much, Tariq, for the response. I want to just take an opportunity prior to continuing to acknowledge the presence of our sitting legislators. We're so honored and pleased tonight that 2 members of our legislative body and 1 representative from a 3rd member of our legislature has come out tonight. We wanted to acknowledge Senator Genevieve Whitaker. We're so grateful for you being here, for you making this a priority. Also want to acknowledge Senator Javon James and Ms. Aletha Hodge, who's representing Senator Carla Joseph. So thank you, Senators, so much for being here, for making it a priority, for walking the talk. and we would love to hear from you during the Q&A. Before we delve into the Q&A, we're going to take a moment and hear from one of our guests, Azaria, who is a survivor. And she's going to talk with us a little bit about what justice looks like for survivors and just share a little bit of her experience. So Azaria, when you're ready.
Everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So I'm a survivor. Justice would be for me to see the perpetrator go to jail. To feel like the system support me, and also to get outside support, because right now I don't have any support other than with Women's Coalition, with my counselor. I didn't have emotional support from my family or friends. And as you guys said, that we really need emotional support, especially because people tend to re-victimize us. And I've had people question if I was really raped. How did I let that happen? You know, what was I wearing? You know, like difficult questions like that. And I'm like, I didn't ask for that to happen to me. It happened to me. Before I came forward, I did feel a sense of shame, like a big cloud of shame was hovering over me, but I got over it because I felt like I needed to speak out, and I was not gonna let the perpetrator get away with what he did to me. So I spoke out about it, and I feel like everyone who was a victim should come forward, even though it's a fear. I'm not gonna lie, there's a fear there, because it's like, are people gonna believe me? You know? And it's like, I don't feel ashamed anymore. I just want justice for what was done to me. And I feel like people should be aware that we are being victimized out here by perpetrators and also by people in the community as well. And I feel like we should speak about this, because by me, like, I've opened up about it to some people, and then they opened up to me as well and said, like, when they were younger, they were raped as well, they were molested, and nobody believed them. No adults believed them, no friends believed them. So they were alone, and they continued to be victimized until they moved out of the home. So we do need support emotionally. We do need people to have our backs. We do need people to be there for us to speak to, because it's hard. It's hard. I mean, some days I think about it and I cry and I break down, but I pick myself up, because it's like, I want to be able to bring people forward. Like, I want to be able to be a support system for other people who are abused. So I think that's why I'm here, because I want to help other people. I want them to feel comfortable enough to come out and speak about what was done to them. And I want to create a safe space as well for them to speak out. So if you guys do need help, I am here and I'm willing to help and be of assistance to anybody who needs assistance with helping in any way that I can.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much, Azaria. Very powerful, very inspiring, courageous. We're so glad you were here tonight to share with us. So at this point in our forum, we are going to open up the panel to our visiting audience. love to hear from our senators and other members of the community, and even staff at Women's Coalition if they have questions. Dr. Chen, we see she's in the house tonight. Board members, others. Let's just continue to dive in deeply about what does justice look like for survivors and victims, and also if there's any other follow-up questions you may have for the panelists based on what they shared. And hopefully we can devote some time a little bit to discussing solutions.
Dr. Kimberly, Dr. Chen had to leave.
Oh, okay.
He's not
I
with
see. Okay, I didn't scroll
He had
back.
another engagement.
Okay, got it. Got it. So are there any questions from members of the audience?
Good evening. Good evening. In the comment, I definitely echoed the just really want to express just deep gratitude for this event. My staff and I stand in support of victims of sexual assault, and I just want to commend the organizers, the panelists who really provided thought-provoking presentations. And for me as a senator, as also even a former board member of the Women's Coalition, so the coalition is near and dear to me in many ways. And I will say this, a lot of the suggestions made by the panelists are pathways. The question I would have, the question I wanted to kind of just in a low-hanging fruit for Sandra is, as we talk about shortages in staff, we know that one of the elements of the process by which we shore up staff within an agency is really addressing it from the budget perspective. And do you have any insight as to whether for this upcoming budget cycle that in fact the BOC plans on increasing the budget in that area, or requesting for funds so we can add funds to address staffing shortages within your agency? And I'll start with that.
I do not know. I am not privy to that information. I can't answer. I would hope that they are asking for additional monies and not just for administrative positions, that there would be money set aside for case managers, counselors, therapists, but I really don't know. I will ask a question though. So thanks, and if I do find out, I will let you know.
Great, thank you. And this is one more question I just wanted to just throw out to the panelists, is really about how we build this, having our stakeholders at the table. When we talk about the issues surrounding education in this area, I've actually, of course, as the Education Committee chairwoman, but also one who serves on one of our education boards, the Career and Tech Education Board, let's work on collaborative approaches to that education, to the incentivizing persons to really pursue the healthcare, mental health care in field where we can get a lot more support. And I really echoed the sentiment expressed about really recruiting from within, so that we can continue to encourage students to pursue that field of study. So I'm definitely here to support that. There have been different dialogues, conversations, work efforts to bring that about. So even after this call, I would like to definitely organize with the various boards of education, the department itself, and of course with UVI as well, so we can work on maybe a more effective pathway to building, the ecosystem of educators or health professionals in this area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Whitaker. Great points about incentivizing opportunities for personnel preparation. The work is difficult, the workers are few, but at least we do have some clear paths. And so as somebody who is a board member of the Women's Coalition, but also affiliated with the university, to the degree that I can facilitate any sort of champions and people that want to run with these issues, to link you up with the right departments. We do have histories of securing grants for personnel preparation, and we can certainly do it again if there's resources. Just try to really work together to make personnel preparation grants more accessible for a number of different areas. Thank you again, Senator. Other questions from the audience?
Darlene, do you want
Yes, yeah, I actually wanted to speak. Good evening, everyone. My name is Darlene Springer. I work at the Virgin Island Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Council. I just want to add and also say that I'm the community outreach specialist, and that we do go out and do presentation on not just the good touch. We actually use the comfortable and uncomfortable touches model to use when it comes down to child sexual abuse. We actually start from the age of preschool and go into the Head Start department. I actually started off with Miss Clever Lewis when we first started. And we go as high as not just the uncomfortable presentation, but we do talk about sexual assault. We do talk about child abuse in a lot of the public schools here in the Virgin Islands. Most likely when it comes down to the private school, we have to be invited actually to come in and actually do these presentations. But we're out there, and we're not only on the island of St. Croix, but we also on the island of St. Thomas and also St. John, with the Territorial Coalition, who do a lot of the prevention education work here in the Virgin Islands. I just want to make that a note.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you so much. It's always good to know who the resources are, where the resources are, and find ways to strengthen these existing resources so everybody can stay engaged.
I also want to mention we're doing it virtual too in the schools.
Okay, good. So maybe you'll be a key person to help get this podcast series into the schools. We'd love to have some more talks with you about that.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. So let's see if there's anything else from other members of our audience.
Well, while we're waiting, while you're looking, I want to thank our survivor, Zaria, who spoke out. It takes a lot for somebody to publicly speak out, and I'm just amazed at her. I want to thank her. I want to give her all praises because we work with hundreds and thousands of survivors, and trying to get them to publicly speak out is very difficult. So when Shalene was able to get her to come forward, we just owe her a round of applause. We need to send praises. We need to let her know everything. I don't know if everybody was listening to her presentation, but everything she said is what the panelists covered the whole night about how they treated. And she just, when she started speaking, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna think I spoke to her before she started speaking, and we didn't. I mean, she sees Shalene, our counselor here. It's just that, and she's one of hundreds and thousands, but she had the courage to come out, and that's what's gonna make the difference. We need women like her who's been there, done that, to speak out. But guess what? We can't let them speak out and leave them open. If they come out, we gotta support them, surround them, love them, have their back, or they're gonna withdraw right back in the shell, and I wouldn't blame them. She said all the stuff she went, we gotta stand up. And we got to say something when people make them comments. We have to jump on it regardless of what people think about you. They can call you big mouth like me. It doesn't matter. But if we can get survivors to show faces public and have the courage, we got to support them. We got to get them because it's hard to get them. So to her, oh God, I'm sending her kisses and everything I can, and thank her so much because it takes a lot of courage to say I'm a survivor and I was raped and how I was treated.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sissy, for doing that from my heart.
Clemma, thank you so much for that heartfelt response. And we all echo the sentiments. We're so glad that Azaria was here and spoke out so eloquently and bravely. And I will just say, Azaria, I mean, everybody here has your back. We love you and we appreciate you. If you're on Facebook, send us a friend's request. If you're not on Facebook and you'd love to have anyone's telephone numbers, we'll compile a list of phone numbers and share it with you. And you can feel free to call any of us at any time for anything you need. So thank you. Let me see here. All right, for our quiet audience members, I'm going to put a question to you. We know that just
Excuse me, before you do that, Dr. Kimberly, if I could just say a very special thank you to Shalene Gums and to everybody who met with us to decide what we were going to do for Sexual Assault Awareness Month and supported this idea and this event. I just want to say gratitude to everyone that made this possible tonight. Thank you. I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much. And it looks like we have Janella John from Senator Carrion's office bringing her regards on behalf of Senator Carrion, who sends his apologies for not being able to attend this event and this important discussion. He wanted to issue his congratulations and commend the organization on the revival of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. Very informative. And Janella John is indicating as a representative from Senator Carrion's office that justice looks like this discussion. Continuing to put out information going on in the schools, the workplace, public forums, training for police officers, meeting victims' needs, protecting victims, and just continuing to be present. We're so grateful tonight just really to have such a lovely representation from our legislative bodies really representing and showing that they care. So thank you guys so much.
I'm like really proud. Genevieve was one of our board members, Senator Jay, Carry On Joseph, those are two new ones. We've had so many events and the senators don't support it. They don't come out. So when I saw you and some of the other senators, I was getting all excited because we need you all. We need y'all to help us. To help kind of open some of the doors that's closed in the government. And just by you being here show us that you really do care. I mean, Senator James is working on the legislation right now that I'm helping with child marriages. He's quiet, I guess he left. But anytime he wants to do something with children, I have to give him kudos. He always calls his office and say, okay, Clemma, let me pick your brain. Is this gonna help children or is this gonna hurt children? So he was here. I don't know what happened to him. Genevieve was one of our board members. We know she loved and care about the community. Matter of fact, I just want Senator Genevieve to hear this. When we were doing the racism piece, it was a young man that called your name and said, if y'all need a senator, y'all need to go to her. She will help y'all. And we were like, well, we invited her. He said, no, call her. She will support y'all. So we got a lot of people that's out there that feels like you really will make a difference. And they've been calling you out, saying to come to you would help. So I think you should hear that. I think senators that come out and put their heart and soul where the people are, you got my support 100%.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed. Clemma, thank you so much. And again, senators, thank you. So
Kim, we have two people. Yeah, Sayeeda and Laban both have their hands up.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Lisa as well.
Where do I see the hands? Okay. Thank you. So we'll have it in that order. Sayeeda, Laban, and Lisa. And Carolyn, let me know if anyone else has their hands up because for some reason I can't see that.
I don't see it.
So I want to especially thank the young woman who spoke. I was definitely moved by her having the courage to share her experience. So I also want to say that when Mr. McMillan spoke, he talked about maybe the use of the arts. And I would like to offer Act Out Ensemble as a place, as a go-to organization that is attempting to make some headway with dealing with these things in a very proactive manner. So right now we're conspiring to do a piece on gun violence in the territory, but being here this evening, thinking back on writing Silence Speaks with Miss Regina Keels, and just the whole experience,
it just tells me that immediately after gun violence, that this is the topic that our organization needs to address. And I just invite people to, keep pace with us, a little bit about what we're doing. We also meet the last Friday of every month at Serenity's Nest, where we are unpacking through the use of improvisation and theater games and community conversation and good vibes and good music and positivity, where we truly want to invite community members to jump up and say what's on their mind and unpack it. So I just really think what's essential to our community change is our community, not looking or waiting for some kind of mythical support or help. We are our best allies. We are our best level of support. So I tend to see myself showing up in spaces where I see some of the same people showing up as well. So our job now is to just widen the circle, because we're definitely a community in crisis in so many ways. I don't think she'll mind because I'm not going to speak specifically, but there was a person who was a part of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. And right around the time that the person was working on this, they revealed to me this evening on this call in private messaging that they had been sexually assaulted. And I started immediately private messaging Shalene and freaking out and like just sitting here losing it. And then I said, I just assured her through Shalene speaking through me that we're here for her. And the more people know that, the more people hear that, the more we take it to the educational systems from, Head Start going up, is the more that we can break the stride of some of these very difficult situations. So as far as using theater, that's my mission. And I definitely see where I can lend the ear of the Women's Coalition and people such as yourselves to immediately after gun violence start conspiring on a piece around the incredible amount of silence around rape and sexual assault, inappropriate behaviors that occur that are just laughed off or taken as not a big deal. They are a big deal. They remain with the person, they color their world, and it's really important. So I am totally inviting people to join up and come out and take a look at the way we're going to be doing this work, trying to use theater, because when you fictionalize things, you can point out a lot more in a community that might be very guarded, that might be very small and insular. The fictionalizing is the way to go, because then people begin to see, oh, wait, that is something that could really happen. So using real stories and fictionalizing them is the work of the theater of the oppressed. And I'm just so happy that I was able to log on and meet Azaria, hear the perspectives of all of your panelists. And, I definitely reached out to her through private messaging and let her know that I'm in her corner and perhaps, can piggyback on the work that she wants to do and use theater to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sayeeda. We will certainly, support you, support your organization, and also, keep connected and keep apprised to help move this work forward. Lavon, you had something?
Thank you, Dr. Mills. Thank you everyone for being here, especially Azaria. We really appreciate you. When I look at the participants, I kind of look like we're mostly preaching to the choir, but I'm totally thrilled that we're having this conversation, because that's how we move it forward, all of us working together. And thank the senators for being here. And I was part of the creation of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, and I'm so proud of this work that we did. Our team, it's still fresh and relevant and undated, which is sad in a way because we did do that in 2018, but this is where we are, right? So it does take all of the community stakeholders to come together to support each other. And this is why it's important to support the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. And so I really appreciate everyone being here this evening and hearing our beautiful soap opera again in full. It was very moving, and I appreciate all the panelists and all your wisdom and heart and soul that you put into this work. And let's just continue to partner together to move forward, move the work forward. Thank you.
Thank you, LaVon. Ms. Moorhead, Lisa?
Yes, good evening, everyone. What I'd like to say, I think, is that Azaria, for me, is the answer. I messaged her too. I think we were all moved by what she was saying. But what struck me was I had a question before she began speaking, and she immediately answered it. And by saying that she felt comfort in talking to people who had also been abused or had been raped. And so she could relate to them, didn't have the same concerns about being ostracized, felt that somebody then could understand her, had been where she was. And when I say she's the answer, one of the panelists, and I'm sorry I've forgotten whom earlier, spoke about how we might need to shift the paradigm a little bit, and instead of looking all the time for a professional, we talk about all the needs that we have for counselors, et cetera. Azaria is a counselor. You know, whoever she's talked to is also a counselor in a different sense, but certainly, you know, sometimes even more meaningful because it's sometimes easier for a victim to speak to another victim. But my other concern is this about the question that Senator Whitaker asked about BOC asking for more money. Unfortunately, you know, as a former legal counsel at the legislature, I've sat through 15 years of budget hearings. Very seldom does any entity get more money. And that's because we always have a shortage of money in the Virgin Islands. Sometimes, you know, you get a few crumbs here and there, but it's not really going to make the difference. And when I sat through these hearings, I never could quite understand why organizations or, you know, whether it's the election system, BOC, education, or whatever, didn't utilize the contractual process more, because you can sometimes have two people for the price of one if they're independent contractors. I understand that you want consistency and you need people to actually staff and be a permanent part of an institution, but if you don't have the funds to do that, why can't we approach it differently and get some of the needs met by hiring people on contract? And the reason this is so clear in my mind right now is because we're looking at positions, I'm on the board of elections, and we're looking at positions where we can actually hire two people that we need for less than the price of what we paid one who was a full-time worker. And that's, of course, that's not the end all and the solve all to everything. But again, if we can fill the critical need we have for counselors and other people or positions to help people who are in need, let's do it with the, with the Azarias out there. Let's do it with some contractual people. Let's do, we are the government. We keep looking towards the government, as we should, but we are the government, so we have to be more active and participate more in the healing of our community, whether it's around the issue of gun violence, as my daughter spoke of, whether it's about racism, as we've dealt with on the Women's Coalition, or whether it's about rape. We have to be more active and proactive. We can't sit and wait for more money. We can't sit and wait for more professionals. We've got to do it ourselves.
Well said, Attorney Moorhead. Well said. Did anyone else have their hand up? I'm not, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing the icon for hands raised. So if your hand was raised and you haven't been acknowledged, please just jump in and make your question or comment.
So while we're waiting, let me just respond to Lisa and some of the other comments that were, and Sandra, whoever made the comment. We definitely don't always need psychologists. The Women's Coalition runs support groups. So it's real clear to me after Zaria, we need to get our sexual assault group back. We don't need, and yes, you do need somebody that's been doing the work along with survivors, and that's what we do in our support groups. In our support groups, we use a professional counselor and we use a survivor or a victim, which makes for a wonderful team when you run in the support group. Because sometimes if you've been there, you might have flashbacks and you need that other person to pull you out. And we don't need psychologists. Coalition been running support groups for donkey years. It's clear to me with today and tonight that we need to revitalize our sexual assault group. We already have the domestic violence group, and it's a support group, and it's free and it's open to anyone that's a victim in the community. And we will be opening back up our sexual assault group. We'll get that back online because it's clear that we need additional support for survivors. So I just wanted to add that tonight.
Thank you, Carmel.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've talked about so many important issues: justice, restorative justice, restoring victims, restoring offenders, restoring community, creating safer spaces so that we can have open discussions and honest discussions. We've talked about resources. We talked about, as Clemma just eloquently stated, again, utilizing existing resources, and of course supporting, this phenomenal resource that we have in the community, which is the Women's Coalition. Attorney Moorhead said, we are the government, it's like what we've always heard, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And, with all of the challenges we've heard about tonight, we also know that as some people like to say, humans are creating these problems so humans can solve these problems. Sayeeda commented very eloquently, it is the community, we are the community, we are the answers, and we are the ones. And so with that.
So Kim, if I can jump in just for a
minute. Please, absolutely.
I know Clemma's going to have some closing remarks for us. But first, we actually have another poll that we want everybody that's still here. So I'm going to launch that poll and ask you all again. Does everybody see it?
Mm-hmm.
Again, this just helps us collect information about this event and helps us plan for other events in the future. So your feedback is very much appreciated. I'm tired.
Also, Carolyn, with this being recorded, where will it now live so that people can come back to it and it can expand its reach beyond those who were on the call.
I think I might let Debbie speak to that, but we do plan on posting this to our channels.
And Carolyn, you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do. Mm-hmm.
Great.
So it'll be up there. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram. I don't know that it would go on Instagram, but definitely on YouTube.
Awesome.
I didn't have to say anything because you answered the question.
Sorry. Did I mention I'm tired? So I think we're pretty good. I'm going to end the polling and show it to everybody. I'm going to share the results. So that's great. So as you can see, people are saying that they learned something new. All of these things are needed for justice, and they want to see more events like this in the future. So all of that's really great. So thank you for participating and for answering those questions.
We're going to turn it over to Clemma to close us out. Thank you, everyone.
So we like to thank everyone for coming out, for participating. Those polls going to help us move forward. If you are a victim, survivor, a family member, whatever, if you are someone in the community and know a survivor or a victim need help, please contact the Women's Coalition. That is what we do. That's what our life surrounds. 340-773-9272. We're available 24 hours, not just 8 to 5. We are available 24/7, 365 days out of a year. You know anybody that needs the support, backup, assistant, whatever, just please feel free to call our office. We got people available all the time. Thank you everybody so much for coming out and staying to 8 o'clock with us. It means a lot. And all the other groups, we got your back. We'll be supporting you as well, because it takes a community. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Carolyn, if there's nothing else.
Good evening.
We are good. I think we're good. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out.
Bye-bye.
Carolyn,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention to the audience and everybody, the next parenting skills class is going to be May 4th. If anybody knows anyone who needs to register, contact the Women's Coalition at 773-9272. And we do a great session on child abuse information. So again, it starts May 4th. Registration is ongoing. Just call the office and it's virtually.
And most importantly, it's free.
Oh yes, it's free.
It's free.
It's free.
All our services are free.
Yeah, they're free.
Okay, everyone. Oh, well, we might as well mention while everybody's here, in case you haven't heard, Women's Coalition is celebrating their 40th anniversary. There's going to be a 40-40-40 fundraising campaign, looking for 40 people to donate $40 and then get 40 more people to do it. If you're on this call, you're going to hook somebody up with their $40 towards their fundraising goal. Don't be surprised if somebody knocks on your door. A lot of us need a lot of people to give $40, and we're knocking on your door. So, thank you guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.